And if you can put yourself on mute while she's giving her presentation, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna slide this over just a second so I can be looking at the camera more so. There we go. So, and I'm gonna fly through this in 30 minutes because we got a fair amount of content. And if you can just either type in the chat your questions or just write them down, and we can take 15 minutes of questions there at the end if that works for everyone. So as Scott said, we got the path to net zero solar for residential new construction. The agenda today is going to start with the state of the industry, what we're looking at for the year, some good news with all this craziness going on in 2020 behind us, got some good news. We'll talk about solar and storage. I have been getting a lot more inquiries from homeowners and builders about storage, so I thought I'd touch on that. We'll talk about the design, how to monitor the system, how it works, how we incorporate into new construction timeline, and then also touch on the economics of solar and where we're at with that too. So to start, we got some excellent news last week when the new bill was signed, the COVID relief bill and spending bill, the 26% federal tax credits, which in 2020 were 26% and were due to sunset to 22% this year, actually got extended for 2 more years. So great news on that front. Another change in the Duke Energy rebate. So most customers we talk to are on Duke Energy in the state. They have previously offered the rebate once a year in January, which just happened yesterday actually, but now they're doing it in 2. So that's going to open up the space for more folks throughout the year. Instead of there being a log jam towards the end of the year around January, it's opening up to July. And that works really great for new construction, because if you're building a house, you got to build it on a certain timeline. So that's great. And then as Scott said, we've got the Solar for GCs course already available. Going to be teaching, I've already taught 1 course last year, going to teach again this year. And then we're looking to open that up to realtors. So we'll definitely put that out in the ether for everyone to sign up for the Realtor CE course. So to start, we'll talk about solar and storage system design. And I want to start first with just how solar works generally. So we got the panels on the roof. That electricity is DC electricity. It flows into the solar inverter, which is depicted here, number 2. That inverts the electricity, the DC electricity into AC electricity to use in your home. Now, with a battery, we can bank any of that excess that your home is not using immediately from solar and store that energy there. The remainder is going to get pushed off to the grid to be stored as a credit to the electric utility grid. So that's a general overview. Some of the system components, obviously the panels. For residential, we use an all black panel just because it looks really nice. We've got the racking system attached to the roof here. Optimizer, so that's a part of the inverter, which connects to the back of the panel, controls the flow of electricity. We've got monitoring. This is really the most interactive part for the homeowner. And then battery storage, which we'll dig into. Different types of mounting. So we've got the traditional roof mount here on a pitched roof. They're flush mounted to the roof. On flat roof, I did want to touch on this. We talked before about the different types. I'm seeing more flat roof arrays come up. What you have to do there is actually tilt them and kind of put them in a stadium row and have space in between. So that's something to consider for you designers and architects that are, designing a house. If you have a true flat roof, it actually requires more space than a traditional roof for solar panels because of that stadium row there. Then we've also got ground mount. We see these less often, but if you got a big open space and they don't mind having this big array on the ground, then we can certainly look into those. And then the solar shingles. So Tesla's offering a solar shingle product, still, coming soon. They love to tease us with those. But we'll keep you informed on where those are in the market. Look really great. I mean, you can see it just looks like a roof there, incorporates right into the roof. So still dollar per watt is about double the price. So that's something that is a real premium product. And if you've got those buyers that, got money to burn, then, maybe that's something for them in the future. Other considerations, the type of electric utility. So net metering is the pinnacle. That's what we want to see, where, as I was saying, your electricity that's produced is going to get pushed off to the grid to be stored as a credit. And we want that to be a 1-to-1 rate. So the rate typically for most utilities in the state is about 10 cents a kilowatt hour. And so that's going to flow to the grid to be stored as that credit at 10 cents and then come back, say in the evening when you need to pull that electricity back from the grid. It's 1-to-1. The next, a less ideal, I'll be charitable, type of utility is cell excess. So cell excess is anything that the home is using immediately from solar is net metered. But then when you push off to their grid, that's where they're gonna purchase those excess credits at a much lower rate. So we're looking at, instead of 10 cents kilowatt hour, they're buying that excess at about 3 or 4 cents a kilowatt hour. And I put a note here that they're a good battery candidate, because if it's a customer that's really wanting batteries anyway, and they're on a poor utility, then the economics start to look a little bit better for them. So I've got some examples here of types of utilities that have net metering or cell excess. The least of these are the buy all, sell all. So what that means is they're essentially treating you like you're, like you're Duke Energy, and you have a solar farm that you're selling this small electric co-op electricity to at like 5 or 6 cents a kilowatt hour. And the economics are just not great there. So we can talk about batteries with those, but there's a lot more hangups with those utilities. So those are the three different scenarios. Some other things to consider in the design process is the space that we need. So the typical residential solar panel is 19 square feet. The commercial, slightly bigger at 22 square feet. And we usually, our average system size is between 20 and 25 solar panels. You can do the math there to calculate how much space you would need. Shading, North Carolina's got some beautiful old trees, especially you builders in Durham with those 90-foot oak trees. They're beautiful, not great for solar. So we definitely want to keep the shade to a minimum, less than 30% shade. And if it's 30% shaded roof or more, that's where the economics start to not check out. And we're in sunny Carolinas, good sun exposure throughout the year, to compare up in Maine, not so great. And Seattle, really, really rainy. So the tilt pitch of the roof, 35 degrees is best, but we can go all the way down to 5 degrees if need be, and up to 50, 55 alpine roofs, but 35 is the best. HOA approval, something to consider, or developer approval. Are they going to allow it on the front of the roof? That is something you want to check and make sure you're on the up and up there. And then orientation, south is best. We can do east and west facing. North facing definitely starts to drop down on that 30% number I was talking about. You start to traipse into that territory because it's just poor exposure on the north side. So controlling the system, we've got the solar monitoring. So this is depicting what the homeowner will see and how they can track their behavior. So this red portion here is outside of the sunlight hour. The blue is what the home is immediately using from solar, which I was talking about in that cell excess scenario. That's what you would get that credit capture for. And then the green is what's going off to the grid. So you can see this is a great sunny day here. Got a lot of excess for that day and not much usage in the home. And then this is a week view here. We can also see panel level. So this is the actual layout on this particular example. We got like a chimney here in the middle, and then this is the inverter. So this is, really controlling your energy. People are getting a lot more smart home thermostats and electric vehicle. Tesla's got a great app to monitor their vehicle charging and things like that. Is getting a lot smarter is what we're looking at in this year. And then some reassurances, system warranties. We've got for our tier 1 solar panels, we've got 25 years under warranty. This is a 30-year product. That's a long lifespan for those panels. No cleaning at all. We get enough rain to wash off like pollen or dust. No annual maintenance. The customer does not have to have us come out and make a sales call or a maintenance call at all, unless there's an issue, and that's covered under the warranty. It's engineered for the home's wind zone and snow load, and the panels themselves can withstand impact of up to 1-inch hail and Category 5 hurricane winds. So it's pretty strong. Other components, the inverter, that's a 12, most of them are 12-year, up to 25-year, and that's parts and labor. The optimizers, that's the little box that goes on the back of the panels and allows what we were showing panel level production. That is also 25 years. And then batteries are warranted for 10 years. And then the workmanship warranty for the installer, that should cover the leaks and solar production promises too. Let's hop into battery storage. So we'll talk about how it works and why it's important and some of the cool features that you get with batteries. So to give you some data that we just compiled for the year. We had, probably not unlike you all, a huge downturn right at the beginning of the pandemic. And then we ended up having a couple of record months and a record year. So, we've got a lot of fear around the pandemic and lots of question marks, but things are trending in the right way. So we're happy to see that. And this is I wanted to break out, you can see in orange, the PV or solar sales increasing year over year. What's striking to me is how much more battery sales we're seeing. And this is digging down into the weeds from 2019 to 2020. Saw about a 30% increase in battery sales. So there's the demand for it. So how do batteries work? So when the sun is shining, the batteries are going to get filled with that solar electricity. Any of the excess is going to get pushed off to the grid. In a grid outage scenario, it's going to function like a generator or a microgrid, depending on how many you have. And so you can think about it like a generator. If you've got a small, 5 kilowatt generator, what's that going to be? Like lights and and outlets, maybe the fridge and a deep freezer or something like that. But if you've got more batteries or a bigger generator, then you can cover more of the home. So we've got the main ones we see in the market are Tesla Powerwall for sure. And then Generac in Q3 of last year rolled out their Power Cell. So really they're well known for storage and have a great brand. So they're really pushing Tesla. So I think this year we're going to start seeing a lot more functions roll out with the control of these batteries. And that leads me to my point about the future ready. Connecting all of your gadgets, all of your power sources in the home is really what we're seeing is changing in the market. So you've got the grid tie here, power walls here, your car and battery can talk to each other. If you've got a Tesla, controlling the solar, connecting your home's thermostat and making all of those talk to each other. It's insane to me, but it's super cool. And so that's where we got a picture here of the monitoring of the system. And a big change in control with batteries for sure is this load shedding. So being able to back up a whole home rather than saying we're going to do a sub panel and only control these certain items that you can back up. Being able to say, all right, the HVAC just turned off. You can charge your car now, or whatever else you want to use in the home. That's awesome, and that's new as of last month. So that's really cool. Different modes that you can use. So the main ones I'd say we see here in North Carolina are backup only. So that means, all right, fill my batteries with solar electricity and then keep them full. And then if the grid goes down, I'm 100% ready to go. Self-powered is going to be, all right, I can set my batteries to drain at night, whether your home's using it or you're charging your car. HVAC's turning on and off. They'll drain to a certain percentage that you can set, so say 20%, and then the next day they'll refill again. Another really cool feature tied into this self-powered is if, say, it's the middle of the night, obviously the sun's not up, and there's a storm coming through and you're asleep at 2 a.m., the batteries can flip and pull back from the grid to refill themselves, which gives you so much more control over your power and security in the home. So I want to touch on some off-grid because I think this is a semantics issue that some people ask about off-grid, and they're really talking about having battery backup, not necessarily off-grid. And I'd have to say, true off-grid is definitely a lifestyle. So I know last year we were talking about homes with no HVAC in them in North Carolina, and people were like, whoa, what? But it's a lifestyle, right? Some people want to do that, and we can certainly model it, but a general rule of thumb is for your daily average electricity usage, you need 3 times that capacity in batteries. So I put an example over here, but 2,000 square foot house, high performing house with electric heat uses about 30 kilowatt hours a day. So you need about 90 kilowatt hours a day in battery storage, which is 7 Tesla Powerwall batteries, or about $65,000. So, and combined with solar capacity that you would need, $110,000. Now you're not paying the utility anything or any hookups, but you could get a similar effect with being grid tied and spend less than half of that. So something to consider. I just wanted to make a note there. All right, working into your new construction timeline. So once your buyers say, yes, we want to get solar and storage, our next steps are to do a technical site assessment. So we take those plans and start our engineered designs and the permitting process. If the roof is already up, we can come on site and actually physically measure everything. And then we'll come out right behind your electrician's rough in and do that conduit rough in. So we get everything hidden inside the walls and packed up neatly. And then we essentially wait for your build schedule and come out once your electrician finishes their trim out. So we will come out, install the panels on the roof, install the solar inverter and the batteries. And then we will get all that inspected and then close out our permit. And once the homeowner has C of O, we will work with them to order the solar bidirectional meter from the utility. So the utility will come out, replace that permanent meter with the solar bidirectional meter. And that is the last piece of the process. So let's talk about economics. So first slide, this is showing since 2005 up to where we're expecting things to go in 2025. Residential rates over the past 15 years have been usually around 6 or 7 cents a kilowatt hour up to 16. We usually land right around that 10-cent mark. And then the cost of solar here, dollar per kilowatt hour. If you look at where we are in 2020, the solar cost is below the electric utility cost. So it's come down significantly over the past 15 years and is only going to stay there as we think electricity rates are going to go up here in green. So it's a great time for solar is the take home message there. So I did a little model here to hit home on these high performance homes when they add solar. What's it look like? So we've got a 2,400 square foot house without solar, efficient home here. Average monthly electric bill, about $140, HERS score of 64. If you add solar to that, the average monthly bill is going down to $32 a month and a 16 HERS score. So incredible drop there. And if we add it to a mortgage, we've done some calculations. If you got a $350,000 home, electric bill is $138 a month, mortgage, and I've got the mortgage terms at 20% down, 30-year term, 3%. We can change that depending on their rates. That seems like what the market is like right now. If we add a $20,000 solar system, they're going to credit their bill, this electric bill here, minus $106. That's what we know you can save with solar. And then adding to your mortgage at these rates, $68. So we've got a total home price of $370, electric bill's $32, mortgage is $1,248. So if you look at the total cost of ownership is a difference of $38 a month. And that's just from the first year. So it's only going to get better as electric rates go up.
This is my favorite slide, y'all. I hope.
Yeah, this is Jamie's bread butter.
I love this slide. It's finally says the thing that's so hard to say.
Yeah.
Good job, Sarah. Sorry.
Thank you, Jamie. The other piece too, so not only does it work out with the full price of the system at $20,000, but you've got that 26% tax credit that you're getting back whenever they file their taxes. And if they're on Duke's grid, they can get that Duke rebate. So that's up to $6,000 off. So for some people that we talk to, they're looking at, about a 35 or 40% drop in that total price. And the increase in home value, according to this third party, PB Watts and the Appraisal Institute, the average home with a PV system sells for about $1.52 per kilowatt hour. So for this example, the $20,000 system that we're adding, the net price, if they're on Duke's grid, and we can get all those incentives for them, and we do, your solar installer should help you get those. It's usually around $11,000 or $12,000, and the increase in home value is almost the exact same. So, really you're net positive from day one, and getting cash back on your investment if you're rolling it into your mortgage. And there's, real ways to calculate this. There's a residential green and energy efficient appraisers addendum that I've filled out many times for my customers who are either trying to get a loan for solar or are selling their home. Say they buy a home and want to sell it in 10 years. Well, we can give this form and say, yeah, the system's 10 years old and it, is this size and all these data points, and you can hand that to your appraiser, and they have to use that to value solar because there is real value there. That's me. That's it, folks. I saw a lot of stuff coming in. So Holly, do you want to field or Jamie, would you like to field those questions for me?
Yeah, why don't we go up to the top, and then Jamie, I'll let you sort of introduce the question to Sarah, because it might be something that the both of you can take team on. But if you go all the way up to the top, Randy started with a question at 4:07.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So I'm pretty sure you're going to do most of these, but I'm happy to read them out. Has Duke increased funding for their rebate program so they do not run out so quickly?
No, they haven't, unfortunately.
So it's just split now.
It's just split. Yep. So they're marketing it like, look, we're opening up to more people. And it's like, no, it's the same amount of money. It's just split into two periods.
When we saw the Duke rebate for the commercial system that we did that's in a Duke territory, I was coached by the staff at SEM to be sitting there on New Year's Day with my finger over the key to submit my application. And I'm glad I did. I think they ran out in 20 minutes.
That's right.
So I just thought, well, that's not realistic that once a year on New Year's Day, you can apply for this and win if you're prepped at that stage. And for us, it was just luck on timing.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't make it easy, but we try to help you guys. Everybody get it. Randy had the next question too. He says, we have an SREC contract for the buy-all sell-all array at your farm. And he's wondering, you started many years ago and they're grandfathered in, but Sarah, do you know if that is coming back to the market in North Carolina? Have you heard anything about that? And if so, when? Like that opportunity?
What's the utility?
It's Duke, wasn't it, Randy? Or
no,
where are you?
We're like on a ma and pa utility out at our farm. I think it's Piedmont, maybe, or yeah.
I don't know how it works with farms. That might be a different scenario, but for residential, we have had some folks that were on. So Duke Energy used to be Sell Excess, and I think even prior to that, Progress Energy was a buy all sell all. And when Duke bought Progress, those systems we revisited and they got updated to the new net metering. So that is something definitely to consider if you, and we foresee maybe some changes, with the North Carolina Utilities Commission pushing for these smaller electric membership co-ops to offer net metering.
Yeah, a little bit different question in we do get paid back from the utility, but it's a really small amount on the buy all sell all system. But the SREC contract that we have with a separate company where we sell solar renewable energy credits is actually really good money. But my understanding is the only reason that I have that contract still is because we were grandfathered in, because I built this system more than 10 years ago.
I gotcha. Okay.
But I'm wondering that market seemed to disappear from North Carolina. And I don't know whether that's regulation or I don't really understand it. I'm just wondering if the SREC market is going to come back here.
That's a little above my pay grade, but I don't know much about utility scale solar like that. I do get some questions from folks that ask you know, hey, I got a farm and I got 10 acres that I'd like to put some solar on. And I always refer to a Strata Solar who does things, utility scale
Mhm.
installations like that. But for most people, they're looking for like 100 acres, just to give you some context. If you get some folks that ask you.
Mhm. So sorry, we don't know exactly, Randy. I bet Bob has a little bit more flavor too. He tries to keep
Yeah,
up on all
totally.
the ins and outs of where we're at. If Carolina, North Carolina.
Bob's our owner for everybody else. You know, he's been around for a while.
Next couple questions, got some good battery questions. Kurt's asking, what is the cheapest battery for storing home PV energy? It's $1 per watt, and comparatively the $1 per watt for Powerwall.
Cheapest battery, I don't know. I mean, there's some people that say they want to do a DIY battery, which sounds like a fire hazard nightmare to me. But most of the ones like the Tesla Powerwall and the Generac battery are between like $12,000 and $15,000, depending on your installer and depending on which one you get. And that's for most batteries that I've seen. You can probably get some, you know, off-brand, just basic battery. You don't get any technology with it. It is just storage that just works in an outage. You don't have the, you know, cool app and things like that. Maybe in the $7,000 or $8,000 range, and those are going to be about, you know, 5 to 7 kilowatts each. So you're talking about like a, you know, small backup generator size. If you're wanting, you know, say for this example, that whole home backup for that 2,000 square foot house with electric heat, you're probably going to need at least 3 batteries to get whole home. If they got gas heat, maybe 2 could back up a significant portion of the house.
Sorry, I just had a quick question, Sarah. Are batteries required? Do you have to have a battery to have a solar system?
Nope.
That's an optional upgrade.
Not at all. Yeah, good question. Yeah, and I think that's where the off-grid question, or when people ask me about batteries, it's usually because they think they need one, right? But you can think of Duke Energy or whatever utility you're on as being like a big battery for you to store your credits. Now, the caveat to that is if the grid goes down, the solar has to shut off like anything else would. That's a, you know, because the solar array is grid tied, it's an electrocution shock issue. So in that sense, you know, and if you're, you know, customer is way out in the country and they lose power a lot, then that's where, you know, the security of having a battery starts to check out more economically. But no, that was a long way of saying no, they're not required.
Okay, thank
with
you.
solar. Yeah.
Kurt, did that answer your question also? And then Randy was asking if the Generac batteries are price competitive with Tesla.
Yeah, yes and no. So one of the Generac power cells is about $15,000 versus one, or sorry, I should say, so the way power cell is, it's a cabinet and you can add battery packs in that cabinet. The way Tesla's set up, you buy a battery, you want more capacity, you got to buy another battery. So the initial price of the power cell is about $15,000. If you pack that full, the equivalent to that on Tesla side is 2 of those batteries. So if you have 2 Tesla batteries, it's about $21,000. And if you've got a full power cell, it's about the same capacity and about the same price. But Tesla has a way cooler app. They're just, you know, they're just cool. People love the T.
They're like the Apple.
Yeah, exactly.
You're one of the.
It looks cooler. I don't know.
Randy's also asking, do you know if the federal tax credits are available for non-grid tied systems? Good question. I don't know.
Yes,
Would they?
yes, I think, yes. They are. Because it's the purchase price. There's nothing about you having to be grid tied.
Cool.
Yep.
You have to pay taxes though.
Yeah, that's the other.
Wait, what? Yeah.
And then Kurt's got a good one. Roughly, what is the additional cost for a 10 kW PV system with panels mounted on the ground versus a typical roof mount?
Good question. Yeah. So 10 kW, probably gonna be around $35,000 on the roof. Ground mount, depending on how far it is, because we have to trench to get out there, and we have to have more conduit to get out there. Probably another $5,000 to $7,000, because so trenching, but also building the structure. So we got to get helical piles driven into the ground. It's essentially like a scaffolding that holds the panels. So, you know, more parts, more labor, more conduit. So yeah, 35,000 on the roof, about 40,000 on the ground mount.
I mean, that's Gary. Gary, how do you say your last name? Camilleri?
It's Camilleri.
Camilleri.
That was really close though.
That was trying. Comment. I don't know if you saw his comment, Sarah, but it sounds like Gary, you had pretty much the same thought with a background in solar, and then you were saying maybe there's some benefits to ground mount. Gary, is what you were commenting on a little bit more, maybe.
There can be. There's some studies, and you really got to be strategic where you put it. That's where my background's in commercial, which we did
Gotcha.
only ground.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's so much more under the hood, you know, like
Sarah hit on the head with the if you have to trench 300 feet and run, you know, 4-gauge wire, and yeah, it can get really expensive.
Yeah. And sometimes it's better because the main house roof is completely shaded, right? Or it's the best roof is a front, and the customer doesn't want a front facing array, a front of the house, I mean. So yeah, and if, you know, say they've got the back of the house is due east facing, and that's the only place they want to put it. East, you know, can still get good sun exposure, but it's not the most optimal. But if we put a ground mount in the yard, we can face it perfectly 180 degrees south and a 35-degree tilt to optimize sun exposure. So yeah, that's a good point, Gary. But for most people, I mean, it's a big thing. It's a big ass, like it sticks up 14 feet off the ground. It's 2 feet in the front. You know, it's, you know, I get some people that at the lake, they're like, well, I can put it in my lake. I'm like, you're going to be looking at this thing in the lake. Yeah, that it's going to look terrible. So that's usually, people don't understand how big it is.
So that's pretty much all our questions. I think we should be able to provide a PDF of the presentation. So that was Richard's question. So I don't see why not. And then whatever, open forum.
Yeah, and if anybody has, you know, some questions, to certainly speak up, or, you know, call me, email me. I'd be happy to sit and talk with you at length more about much more details. There's way more to it. I only had 30 minutes, so trying to do the hits.
Send me the PDF so that I can get it out to everybody that registered for today, and
for sure
recording as well. Well, if there are no questions, I'm going to just pull up the calendar and say February 4th is the February meeting. Any of y'all that are part of the executive committee, do you have a topic scheduled already? I'm sorry to say that I don't know. I'm sure Selena's got it on our master schedule, but if you know what the topic is, unmute yourself and tell us.
Yeah, I think we've got the share the love joint meeting with the PWB. I think.
Yay! I love that meeting. For those of you who are new with us, PWB is Professional Women in Building Council. And that meeting we started a few years ago. Actually, Randy was part of the inaugural presenters. And it's an opportunity really for our members to brag about the things that they're doing, either as a business or company, or just personally to be a greater impact to the broader community world. We talk about international stuff, local stuff. So for those of you, there's a lot of new folks today, so I hope that you got great amount of content. We also are the most fun of the councils, this high performance building council. So should you come to an event where we are in person, there is definitely adult beverages and just a lot of great camaraderie. We are a peer group that are super nerdy and also just super cool. So and everybody, just if you've got questions for Sarah, unmute yourself and ask. I'll leave the channel open for a minute, but if you've got things to get onto, say goodbye and get yourself logged off.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. It was very informative.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Very good.
Thanks, Sarah. Good job.
Thanks.
Right, Sarah.
Sarah, do you guys have geographical limitations on where you work?
Yeah, we try, we're located in North Raleigh, not too far from the Angus barn. And we try to stay within about, we'll make some exceptions, but we try to stay within 180, maybe 200 miles from the warehouse. Just the added cost sometimes becomes too much for folks. So yeah.
That said, if we are working, we do have builder partners that are doing like entire communities. And so that there's not a whole lot of geographic limitation there. So we have some, coming up like even in Charlotte or, well, Hillsborough is within that radius. So a lot of them are within that radius, but.
Yeah, we get down to, Wilmington and what's the other, Morehead City area, Beaufort, but then, to Charlotte and even a little bit into South Carolina, like Rock Hill and York area.
Where are you thinking, Ken? Do you have something in mind that you're thinking about sharing?
Yeah, my wife and I are looking at some areas in the far northeastern corner of Tennessee near Watauga Lake.
I gotcha.
When that happens, Sarah and Jamie, do you all have peer companies that you can refer to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me check with Bob. Might know somebody. Jamie.
Say it again, Ken. Was it? Did you say the Tennessee border?
It's right across the line from Boone in Tennessee, Watauga Lake.
Gotcha.
I got Sarah's number.
Cool.
That'll be good. Yeah, we have a solar amicus group. So, companies that we're happy to recommend that we know do good work.
Yeah, other like-minded folks. Yeah.
Do you have any of the communities or builders that you're working with that are also doing age-targeted development as well?
David Weekly might be the closest one right now because they definitely are focused in that. They have a couple of encore communities that are focused in that space.
Yeah.
And then it looks custom builders always are a little more flexible and open to that. So, but I think on the bigger builder side, that's who comes to mind right away.
You said age, like
targeted,
like a 55 plus or
Coulter down in Charlotte is doing that too. Their Crestwind community is 55 plus. And the what is it? The no step homes.
Yeah, zero entry showers and all that aging in place stuff.
In place, yep.
Certified aging in place.
Mm-hmm.
There's another community that was right near the office, close to Durham. That
Carolina Arbors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
right,
was
Creek
about solar. Mm-hmm.
They have a bunch of solar in there. They don't offer solar for new construction, but they It's hotbed. They love their
After
solar
they
out
buy the house, yeah.
there.
Yeah, we've had some instances where we had folks that were interested in having solar done and the builders wouldn't do it